Words are like the wind. Once you release them, you can't take them back. Once upon a time, in a small, peaceful village, there lived a young man who never thought before he spoke. His words were sharp, like an arrow shot, aiming at the wrong direction, hurting people without him realizing it. One day, he had an argument with his best friend. In anger, he said, "You are useless. I don't need you in my life." His friend's face fell, but he said nothing and walked away. The next day, the young man went to the market. There he overheard two merchants talking. One said, "Did you hear? The baker is cheating his customers." The young man, without knowing if it was true, spread the rumor further. By evening, half the village believed the baker was dishonest, and people stopped buying from him. He didn't think much of it, until the consequences of his words came back to him in ways he never expected. A week later, the young man noticed his best friend was avoiding him. He finally asked, "Why won't you talk to me?" His friend sighed. "Do you remember what you said? It hurt me deeply. I started thinking, maybe you were right. Maybe I really am useless." Hearing this, guilt flooded the young man's heart. He had spoken in anger, but his words had stayed in his friend's mind like a poison. That same day, he passed the bakery and saw the baker sitting outside, looking defeated. His shop was nearly empty. The baker spotted him and said bitterly, "It was you, wasn't it? You spread the lie about me." The young man stammered, I didn't mean to. I just repeated what I heard." The baker shook his head. "Words are like the wind. Once you release them, you can't take them back." The young man realized how much damage his careless words had caused. The young man left the bakery, but his heart felt heavier with each step. He had hurt his friend, damaged the baker's reputation, and he couldn't shake the feeling that his careless words had done even more harm than he realized. As he walked through the village, a woman sitting outside her home caught his eye. She looked exhausted, her face pale and her eyes filled with sadness. He recognized her. She was the wife of the blacksmith. Curious, he stopped and greeted her. "Is everything all right?" The woman let out a heavy sigh. "Ever since that rumor spread about my husband being a thief, people stopped bringing him work. He can barely afford to put food on the table." The young man's stomach dropped. A thief? He had heard that rumor before. In fact, he had been one who spread the rumors. At the time, he hadn't even thought about whether it was true. It had just been an interesting piece of gossip, nothing more. But now he could see the consequences of that careless moment. He rushed to the blacksmith's workshop. The once busy forge was cold, the tools gathering dust. The blacksmith sat in the corner, staring at the floor. "I'm sorry," the young man blurted out, his voice shaking. "I helped spread the rumor about you. I never thought it would go this far." The blacksmith looked up, his eyes tired. People believe what they want to believe. No one asked for the truth. They only listened to the loudest voices. The weight of his actions crashed down on the young man. He had spoken without thinking, never considering how his words could shape someone's entire life. He had destroyed a family's livelihood with nothing more than whispers. That night, he couldn't sleep. Every careless word he had spoken, every moment he had enjoyed gossip without thought, haunted him. He had always assumed words were harmless. Now, he knew better. By morning, he had made his decision. He needed to fix this. As the young man walked toward the village elder's home, he noticed how different everything felt. The market was quieter, the villagers more distant. Had his words caused more harm than he even realized? He thought of every careless rumor he had repeated, every joke made at someone's expense. Words had shaped his world, but not in the way he had hoped. With a deep breath, he knocked on the elder's door, determined to change, not just for himself, but for everyone he had hurt. "I have hurt my friend and destroyed a man's reputation," the young man confessed. "What can I do to fix it?" The elder handed him a small bag of feathers and said, Go to the highest hill in the village, release these feathers into the wind, then come back to me." Confused but eager to correct his mistakes, the young man did as he was told. He climbed the hill and emptied the bag, watching as the feathers danced and scattered in every direction. When he returned, the elder smiled and said, "Now, go and collect every single feather you released." The young man's eyes widened. "That's impossible. The wind has taken them far and wide." The elder nodded. "Exactly. This is what happens with careless words. Once spoken, you can never take them all back." The young man finally understood. But was it too late to fix what he had broken? The young man stood in silence, absorbing the weight of the elder's words. If he couldn't take his words back, what could he do? Seeing his troubled face, the elder placed a hand on his shoulder. "You cannot collect the feathers, but you can try to fix what was broken. Go and make things right." With a heavy heart, the young man went first to his best friend. He found him sitting alone by the river, skipping stones across the water. Taking a deep breath, he said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said that day. You are not useless. I was angry, and I let my words hurt you." His friend looked at him, pain still in his eyes. "You may not have meant it, but I believed it. Your words made me question my worth." The young man felt ashamed. "I was wrong, and I can't erase what I said. But I can tell you the truth now. You are important to me. I don't want to lose our friendship." A long silence followed. Then, slowly, his friend nodded. Words cut deep, but since words caused the wound, maybe words can heal it too. They shook hands, and for the first time in days, the young man felt lighter. One mistake mended, but there was still more to fix. Next, he made his way to the baker's shop. The place was nearly empty, and the baker sat at the counter, staring at his unsold bread. The young man walked in and bowed his head. "I spread a false rumor about you. I didn't think before I spoke, and because of me, people turned against you. I'm truly sorry." The baker sighed. "Sorry doesn't fill my shop with customers." The young man straightened his back. "Then I will fix it. I will tell the truth." He walked through the village, stopping at every home, every market stall, and every street corner. "I was wrong," he told everyone. "The baker is an honest man. I spread a lie without proof, and I hurt him. I ask you all to forgive him. And me." People murmured, surprised at his honesty. Slowly, they returned to the bakery, and within days, the shop was busy once again. The baker, seeing his efforts, smiled and said, "Words caused my downfall, and words brought me back. Thank you." The young man returned to the elder. "I cannot take back the feathers, but I did my best to make things right." The elder nodded. "That is all we can do, but remember, it is better to guard your words before they leave your mouth than to chase them after they've done damage." From that day on, the young man became known not for his careless words, but for his thoughtful ones. He learned that words can tear down or build up, harm or heal, destroy or restore. And so, he chose his words wisely, for he had learned the true cost of careless speech. Words have power. They can shape a person's confidence, change someone's future, or destroy a reputation. So before you speak, ask yourself, are these words helpful or harmful? Once spoken, will I regret them? Because words, once released, can never be taken back. What are some real-life examples that you have seen, where due to careless words something happened?